All right. This is fantastic. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Heart Month. Welcome to Heart Month, and welcome to our webinar for It's All Here on Specialized Financial Solutions with Wayne Sandvik. I am just going to give it a couple minutes because people are rolling into the room and they are rolling in fast. Wayne, this is a popular topic here. We got Jenny from our team, Communications and Engagement. We got Jillian from our team, co-founder, two-time heart transplant recipient, overall awesome person. And of course, we have Wayne Sandvik. Joe, I see that you raised your hand already. We are going to get to questions at the end of the webinar. We're definitely going to leave some time there. So please put any questions you have in the chat. And I'll go through these again as more people come on. But please put any questions you have in the chat, and we will be sure to address them at the end. And if we can't address them at the end, we will share them with Wayne and then reach out to individuals. But I appreciate the enthusiasm. Yeah, and if people want to put in the chat where they're from, what brings them here, that would be awesome as well. Will there be any incentive? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Joe. But the incentive is that you're gaining a wealth of knowledge and you get to be around here with some awesome people. So welcome. I'm still going to give it a couple minutes because I know people are still rolling in here, and then we will get started. Awesome. Yeah, we are definitely here to learn. We got people from all over. Wow. Vancouver Island, Duncan, Alberta, LA, Los Angeles. Oh, that's fantastic. Thanks for coming in. I'm based here in Vancouver. Jillian's in Victoria. Jenny's in Chilliwack. Wayne's in the Sioux, which he'll tell you about. Fort St. John. There we go. Gray, we're glad you made it on time too. I'm glad I made it on time. So that's fantastic. I'm gonna give it just one more minute because yeah, people are still rolling in, and I don't want them to miss anything. This is fantastic. Wayne, give me a thumbs up if you want to know how many people we have in here so far. If you don't, that's okay.
You trying to make me nervous, Mark? Yeah, give me a thumbs up.
152 so far, my friend.
Actually, I can see the bottom
153.
of the screen here.
Ah,
Okay,
don't look at the bottom of the screen. All right.
Ontario, Ontario. Come on, some more. I need some more from Ontario here.
Yeah, we'll do a poll next time, right, and see where everyone's from and get the numbers. We got someone else from California. Wow, that's exciting. That is exciting. Okay, do you know what? People are still rolling in, but I'm going to kick it off regardless. The session is being recorded, which is fantastic. So all those that registered in some form or fashion, we will share it a few weeks after the meeting. I won't say in the next 48 hours because I can't commit to that, but we will share it at some point. Jenny, if you want to just jump into the agenda, please, that'd be wonderful. So, quick agenda for today. Just a quick introduction about HeartLife, who we are, what we do, why we're here, and then a little bit about Wayne. And then I'm going to pass it over to the expert. I mean, why you're all here, Wayne Sandvik, to talk about everything that he knows. And I mean, there's a wealth of information, so looking forward to it. We'll then get into some questions. I'm sure there'll be some questions in the group. What's next? And then some of our prizes. Next slide, please, Jenny. At HeartLife, we were all people before we became patients. Then we were patients, and then we became advocates. All three of us, Jenny, myself, and Jillian, are people of lived experience. Wayne is as well, and that's our mandate, is to really bring people in and amplify their voices. Next slide, Jenny. What do we do at HeartLife? Really, we engage, we educate, and we empower. We empower people to live the quality of life they deserve, and not just patients, caregivers as well, because they're along in this journey. Heart failure, cardiovascular disease is not something that we follow alone. We come together on this, and that's what we do as an organization. Next slide, please. How do we do all this? Well, we engage. We bring people together, whether that's patients, caregivers, healthcare providers, industry partners, all with the collective mandate to really improve the way care is delivered in this country and the way people live. We educate informally and formally through different mechanisms such as resources, Heart Life Academy, informal groups like our Facebook group and Zoom meetings. And then ultimately, we empower. So we want to bring patient partners, caregivers to the table to amplify their voices through advisories, through conferences, through health technology assessment, co-creating of resources, and of course, awesome webinars like this, where we can bring in someone from the cardiovascular community, someone in the HeartLife community to share their expertise. Because again, before we were advocates, before we were patients, we were people, and we all come with this awesome background. Next slide, please, Jenny. Just some of the resources we have as an organization. Uh, Last year alone, and tribute to Jenny on this, we distributed almost over 27,000 pieces of material for heart function clinics, community care centers, uh, GPs, pharmacists, you name it, just to support people while they're in the community living with their disease. So if you're an individual, if you're a someone from the public, if you're a patient, a caregiver, healthcare professional, you want resources, reach out to us because we will send them to you to then get into wherever you want to take them. So please do, Jenny at heartlife.ca. I hope Jenny gets 149 emails after this webinar because we just want to be able to share what we have. Next slide, please, Jenny. We also have HeartLife Academy, and this is Jillian's in the right-hand corner. Jillian, give a wave. Jillian's associate professor at the University of British Columbia on the Faculty of Education, and we developed this HeartLife Academy. Her brainchild is to really provide real-time support for people living with all cardiovascular issues, not just heart failure, because all roads lead to heart failure. We bring in people with lived experience, people like us, people like you and me, to talk about their experiences on things such as guideline directed medical therapy, but also healthcare professionals like Dr. Ricky Turgeon, who's a clinical pharmacist with a specialty in heart failure, to talk about guideline directed medical therapy. So, a real novel approach to education that's free, that's online. HeartLife.academy. Please go on, register. We have 6 courses. We have 3 more coming this month. It's something that's really valuable and I think is going to continue to grow. So thank you for that. Next slide, please. And then, of course, how did we start? We started as really a support mechanism. When Jillian and I first met in 2016, we started a Facebook group that still exists today where people lived experience, patients and caregivers can have open and honest conversations about their life, their experience, anything they want to talk about. And every single Wednesday, we have a meeting on Zoom. We started this in 2020 through COVID, where anyone from across the country can join. Anyone in North America can join and share their experience, get to meet other people like them in the community. And we also now have a Transplant Tuesday. Quick plug for Transplant Tuesday, transplant and LVAD patients, where people in the advanced heart failure stages or those with transplants can join and share their experiences. And so I have to update my slide deck and I have to get that on there as well. So I'll do that. Next slide, please. And then we advance global advocacy. Again, we engage, we educate, we empower. We started off with our patient journey. We went into our national charter, which was a standard of care for people living with heart failure, got translated into 17 languages, endorsed by 33 organizations worldwide. And then we went into policy change, and we put forward a private members bill with Senator Yona Martin last year, which is Bill S-284, and we'll continue to provide updates on how we're moving forward with that strategy to really change the way care is delivered. And of course, we're involved in research with the Canadian Heart Function Alliance. Next slide, please, Jenny. And yeah, next slide. Yeah, perfect. Why we're all here is for this man, Wayne Sandvik. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Wayne, and then I'm going to hand it over to him. And this is our session on Ask an Expert, where he's going to talk about insurance, banking, investment. Really, the full scope of all these questions we have as people living with chronic diseases. So who is Wayne? Next slide, please, Jenny. Wayne is from Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. I'm sure people know where that is. Wayne experienced a heart attack 8 years ago. And due to a delay in treatment, he spent 2 weeks recovering at Health Sciences North in Sudbury, and then 11 months later required an ICD courtesy of Toronto General Hospital. Thanks to Sudbury and Toronto General Hospital for taking care of Wayne. We appreciate it. Wayne continues to work as a financial advisor at Our Financial Plans and dedicates time to volunteering with Transform HF, the Sault Area Hospital, Heart and Stroke Foundation, the Canadian Cardiovascular Society, and of course, HeartLife. Wayne, we are so grateful for you. We had the group had a quick chat before this, and those words speak so true, Wayne. What you give back to this community is immense, and we really appreciate that. Additionally, Wayne is giving back to the community with his platform and why we're all here called It's All Here. It's All Here.ca, quick plug, which aims to support and connect individuals dealing with heart conditions by providing valuable resources and a supportive community. Next slide, please. Wayne, it's all yours, buddy.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you for registering and joining us here today. We've got a rather large group here, which makes me very happy and a little nervous. First of all, I'd like to thank Mark Baines and Dr. Gillian Code, the founders of the HeartLife Foundation, for supporting this webinar. Also to Jackie Ratz, my friend and founder of the Facebook group Canadian Women with Medical Heart Issues, and to my friends and colleagues at the Canadian Heart Function Alliance, as well as everyone and anyone else that has joined us here today. Finally, I also want to introduce my friend Jenny Milne, HeartLife's Community Engagement Manager and my co-host. When deciding the best time for this meeting, we realized there's no perfect time due to Canada's 6 time zones. I plan on future meetings, so I might mix the times up a little bit, so stay tuned to the HeartLife Facebook page. Jenny, you got the agenda up? Good. My goal is to provide you with information that you might not be aware of. Hopefully you'll learn something new, such as how you can get up to $100,000 of life insurance, even if you've been turned down in the past, how you can get the best rates on travel insurance right now over the phone, how you can save money on banking fees, how you can save money on your mortgage if you have one, how you can protect your retirement savings, and we can show you how you can put your affairs in order, and ultimately provide you with some security and peace of mind. I think it's important that you know a little bit more about me, though. I'm located in Sault Ste. Marie, or as I'm now calling it, Snow Ste. Marie. This winter has been seeing a record snowfall, and most of us are really tired of it. Jenny, can you put up the pictures? That picture on the left is me at the end of my driveway. And on the right-hand side, that's about a 100-foot pile of snow that the City Board of Works cleans from the city streets, puts them in dump trucks, and just makes a big, big pile. So that's Sault Ste. Marie for you, and it actually is snowing right now. So my career in financial services began in 1993 when I got my insurance and mutual fund licenses. The first 6 years were all about learning, growing, and slowly developing my client base. I worked with families at the kitchen tables and eventually working with small business owners, handling hundreds of insurance and investment applications along the way. In 1999, I started a new company with a home and auto insurance firm, and that's when things really began to change. I became a true broker with multiple insurance and investment companies to provide even more product offerings and options for clients and more comprehensive work with group insurance, pension plans, and estate planning. And then 2017 happened. I became a heart patient, just like many of you. I had a massive heart attack in January 2017. At the time, the Sioux did not have a cath lab, and on that particular day, we had fog. So in fact, there was so much fog they couldn't fly me to Sudbury or Toronto. They had no choice but to drive me by ambulance 300 kilometers by ambulance to Health Sciences North in Sudbury. The doctors didn't think I would make it, but I did. I had 3 stents and spent 2 weeks recovering in hospital and diagnosed with congestive heart failure. 11 months later, I had an ICD inserted at Toronto General due to my AFib. I also have a AAA, an ascending aortic aneurysm, and rheumatoid arthritis. I'm sharing this because I'm just like many of you, living with a progressive disease. I'm just like you. Early in my recovery, I decided to give back. I've contributed to HeartLife, Transform HF from the University of Toronto, and the Ted Rogers Center for Heart Research, Heart and Stroke, Sudbury Hospital, and a few others. But now it's time to do something different. I want to contribute in a different way. I've been in the insurance and investment field now for 30 years, which amounts to over 50,000 hours of experience. For all these reasons, I believe I'm uniquely qualified to provide you with financial guidance and advice. That's why I created this website, It's All Here, which I believe is the only one in Canada that was designed for people with existing medical conditions. Now, just before we look at the website, I want to show you the financial planning pyramid. Jenny, can you show the pyramid, please? Thank you. The financial planning pyramid has been around forever and shows how to build your financial affairs. We begin with a strong foundation of protection at the bottom, which provides guarantees and security. And then as we move up the pyramid, we slowly begin to take on more risk with the potential for better returns. I believe this strategy makes sense for most people, but clearly for many of us, it's particularly important because we just never know what tomorrow will bring. And organizing our affairs in this manner provides us that security and peace of mind we all desire. And that's what you will find with this website. It's time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all here. So there we go. So here's the website. Another picture of moi. I'm not going to read everything here. I'll let you do that on your own. About. The about page is a promise that anything and everything we talk about is confidential. It's a picture of me here, right there, speaking in front of a room full of cardiologists. It's because of HeartLife's efforts that patients are now being heard. We have a voice and a message. The doctors are listening. I'm very proud of these testimonials from Jackie, Mark Baines, Jenny, Dr. Heather Lannon. I got to get Jillian up here too. Okay, next we've got insurance. So if you've got an existing insurance policy, I want to talk to you about that. As I point out, it doesn't matter. Well, hang on here. This information here is really, really important if you have a current policy. You can convert a term policy, reduce coverage using cash values, lots of different things you can do. So my suggestion is talk to your current advisor, get an update on your policy so you know exactly what you've got. Sometimes you can actually stop paying premiums and never have to pay again. If you've got questions, send me an email and we could talk about it. All right. If you'd like to purchase a life insurance policy, I can help with that too. As I point out, it doesn't matter if you're a smoker, overweight, or have health issues, we can get you coverage. In the past few months, Manulife doubled the coverage amounts to $100,000 now. That's great news for many people. In my next blog later this month, I will provide some pricing. So if you come on probably closer to the end of February, check out the blog and hopefully you'll see some pricing in there to give you a bit of an idea of what it might cost. Next, we've got critical illness insurance. Critical illness insurance is a product I really appreciate since I've had quite a few claims made by clients over the years. I always like to ask people, if you were off work because of a serious illness, how long could you last with your current savings? And if you can't last very long, pay your bills, you might want to consider a critical illness insurance policy. Health and dental plans. Here's more information. I deal with Manulife, Canada Life, Sun Life, and Green Shield. There's three types of coverages available. Some where they're going to ask medical questions. Those are the best kind of plans. They cover more items, but those of us with a medical condition, we're not going to be able to purchase any of those. People who are leaving an existing group benefits plan, whether you're retiring or you're on long-term disability, this is a better plan. You can convert your group insurance plan into a existing plan with one of these insurance companies. You've got a 90-day window to do that. And then guaranteed issue plans. So this is for for the person just like us. These plans are important because, in particular with the Manulife one, Manulife has automatically provide a TELUS virtual care plan at no extra charge. This provides you with medical consults on your phone, tablet, or computer for both mental and physical health. That means access to prescriptions, lab work, imaging, referrals to a specialist. It's 24-hour access, meaning for many people, it saves having to wait 8 hours in an emergency room. And then we've got travel insurance. I've arranged the best travel insurance plan that I could find. Access to one of Canada's largest brokers, Secure Globe. You can learn more about Secure Globe if you click on their link right here. You can even get a quote and buy online. But if you've got health issues, you'll have to give them a call at one of these numbers since they're going to ask you a bunch of questions about your health, where you're traveling to, how long you're going to be away, those sorts of things. But you can get a quote over the phone and you can purchase over the phone. And Jenny's shaking her head. I think that happened to her. She traveled to Europe. Next, let's go to banking. Banking and investing. This higher interest savings account. I always ask people this question. When was the last time you were in a bank? A lot of people say it's been months, if not a year or longer. People are using the online banking or 24-hour banking. In that particular case, I'd like you to consider the Manulife Advantage account. It's a high interest savings account, but it's a checking account, savings account, all in one. So I'm going to go to it right now. And right now, if you transfer your money, they'll give you a 4.7% rate of return on your funds, which I think is pretty terrific. And that's guaranteed for 4 months. And you can watch all their videos. You can actually compare their accounts versus a traditional bank account, a checking account, or a traditional savings account. As you can see, there's no fees. You can go down further and learn a little bit more about them. I'm not going to click all these links because I want to be able to go back to my website in a second. But you can learn about the depositing, withdrawals, all those sorts of things. And again, there's no fees at all. Now, next up after the high interest savings account, they have a Manulife One account. I think this is the best mortgage account in Canada because Manulife One charges interest on what you owe, not what you borrowed. So I want to use this as an example. My sister-in-law has a condo in Toronto. My sister-in-law, her former bank was with Toronto Dominion Bank. Once a year, when you've got a mortgage, the bank is going to send you a statement telling you where you stand with your mortgage. She did that, compared her TD Bank mortgage with her Manulife Bank mortgage, and found that what it took 1 year for her TD Bank to come down, Manulife Bank did it in 8 months. That's a significant savings. So if you can get away from your mortgage and save a couple of years, think of what you could do with that money. So I highly recommend you consider that. And then we come to segregated funds. Segregated funds are very similar to mutual funds, but they're through an insurance company. There are lots of information here, including so segregated funds give the ability to grow your investments and protect it as well. You certainly can't do that with mutual funds. There's no protection with a mutual fund. So I want you to take a look at this page when you get a chance. And I got links here to Canada Life's segregated funds, as well as Manulife's segregated funds right here. And if you've got questions, fire me off an email and I can send you some marketing material, or we can chat, or I can even give you a call. We can talk further. Next, let's go to wills and estates. So, hang on one second. Excuse me. Estate planning. in through here. Lots of information. Something every Canadian needs to consider planning for the future when you're not around any longer. The reason this is so important is quite clear. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Your family and loved ones could very well end up with less simply because the government will have their say as well. In order to put together a proper plan, I highly recommend you click on this executor link right here and start working on it. Come on. There we go. So this is a checklist for executors. This is something you can start completing on your own. Lots of information about where you stand. And these are some of the things that an executor is going to have to do. Gathering all this information about yourself. Then I put this together many years ago. They used their lawyers and their accountants to determine all the information that might be appropriate. So as an executor, one of the things you have to do is before you can start assigning assets to the beneficiaries, you have to go through the courts to get the approval from the courts. So that's why all this information is going to be really, really important. And why, as I say, you should start thinking about printing a copy of this out and start completing it. Your loved ones will really appreciate it. I'm sure. Do we have any questions happening here, Jenny?
Yep, there's a couple in the Q&A. Mark and Jillian are keeping an eye on it.
Okay. We'll get to all those questions shortly. Um, Next, we've got this site here, which I think is really, really important. Your will, power of attorney and living will. Each province has different names for the power of attorney and living will, but essentially the will is something that you need to complete so your assets will go to exactly who you want them to. It seems only 50% of Canadians have a will, and yet 100% of Canadians will die. If you don't have a will, the government will make one for you. I don't think you want to be up there looking down and saying, geez, that's not what I wanted to happen. Unfortunately, then it's too late. I'm always reminded of one of those old movies where the doctor says to the patient, I think you should put your affairs in order. Well, that's exactly what this is all about. Not only will this give you some peace of mind, you're also saying to your family, I love you. You made their life easier by making decisions and not forcing them or the courts to decide. So if you click on Legal Wills here, Legal Wills Canada, you can get a legal will. I've arranged a 15% discount for everybody. And even get some air miles. And you can get started right away. And if you register, you've got a year to complete your will. So start now, take your time, complete it all, and you'll have it done. There's a last will and testament, premium last will and testament, which a few more things added on. And the most popular one for an individual is a complete estate plan. So that gives you a legal will, a power of attorney, which obviously is to name someone to handle your finances should you ever become incapacitated, or the living will. This living will, I think, is just, if not more important. It specifies your health care wishes in case you can never do it on your own. So $84.96 for a Canadian, for an individual, excuse me, and for a couple it's $127.46. But you can see all these different prices. Or if you've already got a will, you can pick and choose. So there is there. But I think this complete estate plan is really, really good value. My last section here is the blog. Oh, hang on one second. My blog. So there's some comments from myself. One of Canada's first online destinations dedicated to providing comprehensive financial solutions. That's one. And the other one is about travel insurance. Oh, I think I've got a little problem with my cache. Anyway, travel insurance, plenty of your winter giveaway. It's a reminder for people to check out Secure Globe from my website. So next, do we have any questions? Jenny?
Yeah.
Okay, let me get out of this.
Jillian's been diligently. We have a few questions. I'm going to hand it over to Jillian. She's been in and out of there. Wow.
Been doing my best. Been doing my best. Yeah, there's a few questions here, Wayne. So,
Okay,
I'm not sure you can see the Q&A, or if you want to read them to you,
I
whatever.
just, what if you don't have insurance? Linda asks. If you don't have insurance, send me an email and I'll tell you you can get some. We deal with a whole bunch of different companies. Right now, I'm kind of hot on Manulife because for the longest time, the largest policy that anybody could get for any of us anyway was $50,000. And there's about 5 or 6 companies that offer that. But Manulife upped the game a couple of months ago. Now they've topped up to $100,000, which is quite a bit more. Next.
So
Uh,
wait,
Maybe you can help me here.
yeah, Jillian, do you want to just
I'm,
read the ones in the
I'm
queue?
going backwards here.
is the living will and power of attorney valid across the country?
Yes. As a
Okay.
matter of fact, Legal Wills Canada are actually advertising on television and online. But it's legal right across Canada. You have to, when you go online, they'll ask you what province are you in, because every province is slightly different.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. Excellent. Thank you. Also, as a transplant patient, I'm not speaking for myself, 5 years out, this individual can't find travel insurance at a decent price. Are there companies out there for this? Because as soon as they see or hear organ transplant, it's like you're out.
Yeah. Well, if you can't get any coverage through Secure Globe, and I suggest you give them a try. But if you can't, send me an email. I know Manulife will issue a individually underwritten plan. But it's a little bit, they're going to ask some whole bunch of questions in advance. They'll run them through their underwriting department, so they can't give you a price right away. But yeah, we can certainly give that a try. So fire me off an email and we can talk about that.
Okay. Um, this other individual says they lost their job and had to be put on disability ever since their heart events, which is actually very common for many people in HeartLife. Are there any ways to
Yep.
self-manage RDSP, ODSP investments without dealing with third-party brokers? And any general financial advice you have for people living on disability?
Yeah, that's probably the weakest area that I've got, honestly. But I do always know where to get answers. So if you've got questions like that about RDSPs, any of those disability questions, send me an email. Once I have a little bit of information, then I know who to approach to get some answers. And hopefully in the future, we'll be able to get some other people involved in this for another webinar.
Yeah, that would be helpful. So we do have a lot of people in that category, and it can be challenging. Another individual here has asked, they've contacted their health insurance company through the call center, of course, and
Mhm.
when they ask about pre-existing conditions and anything like a stability clause, um, I'll just read this directly. The frontline agent at this insurance company says there is no exclusion for either pre-existing or stability. We trust this to be true? What do you suggest?
The person you're talking to is wrong.
Okay.
Here's my suggestion. Ask them to put it in writing and email it to you. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. Give you a really quick example. I've sold a lot of group benefit plans over the years, and here in Sault Ste. Marie, a lot of patients will need to go see a specialist, often in Southern Ontario, and sometimes in London. If you got to go to London, it's a lot faster to drive through the United States than it is to drive through Canada. So one of the HR departments was telling me a patient was going to go to London to see a cardiologist. And first thing I says, they better not be driving through the United States.
Mm.
And the question then became, will they have coverage? I said, no, they won't. I called at the time Great West Life and I called Manulife, and both of them confirmed if that person had a heart attack while in the United States, they would not be covered. I recently, that was years ago, I recently checked back again with these insurance companies, and they said, Wayne, you're right. There's been no change to that whatsoever. So if they were in a car accident, broke their leg, yeah, they'd be covered. But you've got a pre-existing medical condition, and the insurance companies are really, really weak at explaining that to people. So if I were in your shoes, I would consider talking to your group insurance department, the HR department, I should say, at your company, and find out if you can find a different contact. Because I don't believe that's the case at all. It's not my experience. And as I say, I've sold quite a few group insurance plans. I've never heard of a company offering coverage to people with pre-existing.
Okay. Um,
Jillian, if I can just add to that, sorry to jump in,
sure.
that the individual participant messaged in the chat again. So that question relevant for all insurance, but specifically Wayne for travel insurance. That's what they're referring to. So that the context was great because I think it's important to know that about all insurance. But that individual is referring to travel insurance specifically. And there's another related question saying, is there any kind of travel insurance you can get if you've had medication changes or changes in your health 3 months before traveling?
Well, that's why I use Secure Globe. So if you've got, let's say I'm working, I got a group benefit plan. Group benefit plan covers travel insurance. My wife and I are planning on we won't go to Florida anymore, will we? We'll go through to maybe Mexico or the Caribbean. And I have a heart attack. And 3 months later, we decide we still want to go on our trip. The group insurance provider will not cover you. They just won't. You've got to give them a call, get confirmation in advance. If they won't confirm that you're covered, I would not travel. I would call Secure Globe and ask them for coverage. And there's also the issue with regards to your age, because there's always a issue with regards to the stability period, whether it's a 3 month, 6 month, or even 1 year. Those are some of the issues that people have as they grow older. As a matter of fact, I've talked to pharmacists and a couple other doctors about this, and they have patients asking these questions all the time. When I told them I was putting together this website, they wanted my business card because they don't know how to answer those questions. They're not trained for that, and they don't want to be put in the position of having to be challenged because somebody said, "Oh, you said I could get it. You said I was covered." I don't think it's fair to the physicians either. So call Secure Globe. If you can't get coverage, send me an email, and we'll see if we can get you coverage through Manulife.
Okay. Oh, this one is really, I guess, is there an age restriction for Manulife insurance? So I guess this is related to what you were just talking about.
Age restriction? You
Yeah.
mean how old? No, no. I think they'll go up to age 90 as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware of.
Okay. What about mental health issues and life insurance coverage? Is there anything around that?
Well, for us, people with pre-existing medical conditions, um, there's a bunch of questions that some insurance companies will ask you in advance, and based on your answer, they'll tell you whether they're going to give you coverage right away, and they'll have a maximum that you can purchase, or they'll say you're going to have a longer waiting period before the coverage might be in effect. So, as an example, you might say coverage won't begin for 2 years. So, if you pass away within the first 2 years, they'll give your beneficiaries the money back, all the premiums you paid, plus interest. After the 2 years is over, then they'll cover you. So it wouldn't matter if it's a mental health issue or a physical issue.
It would still be, it's still a pre-existing condition regardless.
If it's
right?
been acknowledged from a physician, yes.
So this individual is saying that their term life insurance has run out and they can't find any company who will take me on. So would you say Secure Globe is what you've been mentioning?
For term insurance, yeah. The term insurance expired. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it says my term life insurance has run out and they can't find any company who will take me on.
Well, then I would turn to one of the companies I can offer.
Excellent.
I guess the question sometimes is that when did the policy expire, or when did they stop paying premiums? Because there's a little window there after you stop paying premiums. A lot of insurance companies will send you a couple of reminders, and then 3 or 4 months later they'll say, if you pay these back premiums, we'll still cover you. So check your past mail and see if you're past those time frames.
That's a good question. Here's one about wills and trusts. So
Yep.
what's the difference between a will, a trust, and a power of attorney, and how does one choose the right tools for their estate plan?
Okay. A will is simply a direction to the executor or executrix or a liquidator in Quebec, what your intentions are with regards to your assets. Before the liquidator, executor, or executrix can pass on your assets, whether it's your home, whether your cottage, whether your money, your jewelry, whatever it happens to be, they have to go to the probate, go to a lawyer. The lawyer takes it to a judge, and the judge then says, okay, is there any money owing on this person's estate first? Once the lawyer could come back to the judge and say, well, we advertised, and sometimes you'll see in those newspapers, in the last couple of pages of the newspapers, they'll have a section, anyone having any claims against the estate against Julian Code or Wayne Sandvik or Mark Baines. Sorry, Julian. Then please contact this person here. Once you advertise, once your lawyer advertises that, or you advertise that, then, and nobody has any claims, then you can go back to the judge, and there's a certain time frame that they have to pass first, and then finally the judge will stamp the will, and then say, okay, now you could pass on these assets to the beneficiaries. So that's the first part. Power of attorney is a little bit different. Power of attorney is for people that need a legal document where you're appointing someone to act or manage your money and property in the event of failing health or changing life circumstances. So whether it's a physical issue or whether it's a mental issue, a power of attorney is allowing your spouse, best friend, or whomever you've decided to manage things for you. That's a power of attorney. And then the living will, and Jillian would be very, very familiar with this being a physician. A living will or personal care power of attorney is a separate legal document. So that's the third document where you're granting someone authority to make medical decisions on your behalf. So typically that's when somebody says, well, I don't want to become a vegetable. This is the worst case scenario. I don't want to become a vegetable, pull the plug. Or whatever your decisions are, you have that conversation and let your loved one or the person that you're assigning this duty to, you're giving them the authority to act on your behalf. So whether it's a will, power of attorney, or living will, these are really important roles. You just don't hand these out and expect somebody to do it. You need to have a conversation with these people in advance. Somebody who you know, trust, and it will do exactly what you want or wish to do.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Wayne. That's a really critical distinction, and something that we really need to understand. Um, Before I hand it back to Jenny and Mark, to finish us off, um, how do insurance companies handle uh, no, that's not the question I wanted to ask. Uh, I'm seeing things. What would you say is people with chronic conditions, um, are the most important aspects of insurance that we should have?
You're thinking the way I am. I was actually considering if I was in somebody's shoes and looked at all these things that Wayne was showing, what's most important? First of all, everybody's different. So that's a given. But in my mind, life insurance is one of the most important because that's the highest potential payout. Um, will, power of attorney, living will, that's just as important as well, because those are things that if you don't do it, and like I say, 50% of Canadians aren't, if you don't do it, you're giving those responsibilities onto somebody else and putting them on their shoulders. And that's where fights happen. That's when disagreements occur, when families can't decide who gets what. Um, so those are the things that I would think of immediately, the most important issues. If you don't have any loved ones, if you're the last one, life insurance is not a big deal unless you want to leave something to a foundation like the HeartLife or to somebody, a group that you really, really care for. Life insurance would be important in that particular case. Um, Segregated funds. That to me is really, really important as well, especially if you've got 50,000, 100,000, 500,000, $1 million. There's issues with tax laws when you pass away. So one of the great things about segregated funds is that you could protect that money, even if it's a down market. So those are other things that I would seriously be interested in having a further discussion with people about. That's probably what I was my best answer, Jillian.
Oh, thank you so much, Wayne. So I just wanted to say, again, I'm going to hand this back to Jenny and Mark. But before I hand over complete control of my life and everything else, I want to say thank you so much. The interest in this topic, as you know, is always ongoing because it's something that affects us all very deeply. And it in many ways determines how we can manage and just live our lives daily. And so thank you so much from the bottom of all my hearts for lending your expertise to us, being a part of the community, being a champion of our community. We are so very grateful to have you among us. And so with that, I will hand it back to Jenny and Mark. Thank you, Wayne.
Jenny, Mark, before you say anything, thank you very much, Jillian. I really, really, really appreciate that. Um, what's next? I plan on scheduling future webinars on a fairly regular basis. I'll pick one or two topics, and then we can do a deeper dive on each topic rather than just highlighting things like we did today. So stay in touch with HeartLife's Facebook page or with my blog on It's All Here so you don't miss out. Also, I'm certain we could bring in guest speakers, such as a lawyer to talk about wills or an investment specialist who could provide some relevant information. Maybe they can discuss the impact of these potential tariffs that are being talked about and how they might affect your investments, or why you should consider utilizing an insurance company for your investments or GICs. Or maybe we could bring in a leading cardiologist to discuss how heart care has improved over the past 10 years and talk about some of the science that is being developed that might be helpful in the short and long term. So to finish up, let me say, please explore the website and take advantage of the resources available. If you have any questions or need personalized advice, don't hesitate to reach out to me via email. Together, we can navigate your financial journey with confidence and peace of mind. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the meeting. Jenny,
Thank
Mark?
you.
Thanks, Wayne. I appreciate that. And maybe something that we'll do as a team is in our next newsletter, maybe a short survey on other topics that people want to hear about, and then we can schedule and draft those as well and get those out to everyone. If people are already typing in the chat, I think the chat will be, I'll have to take some notes in the background real quick before I close this off so we can make sure that we track what people want to hear about. We'll have that in there, so that's fine. Jenny, if you can get to the next slide, please. Awesome. We do have some awesome prizes. Winners will be contacted after the webinar. We had a lot of people come on, so we have to choose fairly through Jenny's prize wheel, which is pretty cool. But an Amazon gift card, a last will and testament for a couple, and a will, power of attorney, and living will for an individual. These are excellent prizes. I mean, there's so much value in these. So Wayne, I mean, just providing these. Thank you so much for that, but also for the knowledge and information you've shared with us, this group nationally, some people in the US as well. I mean, really, we really value you. And you're such an important member of HeartLife. And, just thank you. I personally, I mean, my testimonial is on the website. That's not fake. I was denied insurance for years through my heart failure, my heart transplant, and my cancer. I connected with Wayne. I now have critical illness and life insurance. So what he's saying is true. So please reach out to Wayne because this is a game changer. Next slide, please, Jenny. Next slide, please, Jenny. Yeah, do you know what? There was another slide I added in after, and it's a different deck, but that's okay. We have an upcoming webinar on February 28th. It's our first cross-country webinar with the Heart Health India Foundation, where we'll share some more in-depth information on HeartLife. Heart Health India will share some information on them, and we'll also hear from Ram, who's a person with lived experience in heart failure and heart disease, and then the president of the Indian Heart Failure Society to learn what's happening out there in heart failure care. So please register for that webinar on February 28th. Wayne will be back, that is for sure. We look forward to having him. Jenny, Jillian, thank you so much. To everyone that attended, we really appreciate it. This was the most successful webinar we've had. And you know what? We're going to keep them coming. Happy Heart Month. Have a great rest of the day. And remember, it's about life, not failure. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy Heart Month. Thank you.